Hello everyone, let's talk about another easy problem on Leetcode today, 3 consecutive odds, Leetcode 1550. In this, we are given an integer array, air. We have to return true if there are 3 consecutive odd numbers in the array, otherwise we will return false. So in the first example, we can see that there is only one odd number. So that means there are no 3 consecutive odd numbers, so we will return false. And in the second example, we can see that 5, 7, and 23 are 3 consecutive odd numbers, so in this case, we will just return true. Now that we have seen the examples, let's jump into the solution space. We can actually solve this problem by keeping the track of the counter for 3 consecutive odd numbers. So as soon as we see an odd number, we start incrementing the count. And as soon as the count becomes 3, that means we have found the 3 consecutive odd numbers and we will just return true in this case. Otherwise, as soon as we see an even number, we will just reset the count. So for example, as soon as we see 1, which is an odd number, the count becomes 1. And now we see 2, which is an even number, so count again becomes 0. At 34 also the count remains 0. Then for 3, the count becomes 1 again, but when 4 comes, the count again becomes 0. So now for 5, the count becomes 1. Then for 7, it becomes 2. Then for 23, it becomes 3. And now we actually found our count equal to 3, and we will just return true in this case. So now let's jump into the code part. So all we need is a loop on this array, and we will also need a count variable. So we don't need the count variable outside the scope of this loop, so we can actually define it inside the loop itself. So as soon as we see an odd number, we will actually increment the count. To check if number is odd or even, we can actually use the modulo operator for that. When we divide the number by 2, we can either get 0 or 1 as reminder. So if we get 0, that means the number is fully divisible, and that means it is actually even. But if there is a remainder of 1, that means this number is not divisible, and that means this number is odd. Else, we will set count equal to 0 because the number is even. And if count becomes 3 at any point, we will just return true. Else, if we reach the end of the loop, that means we couldn't found 3 consecutive odds and we return false. Let's run this code. Awesome. Let's submit the code. Awesome. We can also combine these if conditions. We can actually check if the number is odd as well as increment the count using the prefix increment operator. And for that, we just change the order of if condition. So we will just check if the number is even, we will set count equal to 0. Else, because the number is odd, we will just increment the count using the prefix operator and check if it's equal to 3. If it is, then we will just return true, because it will first increment the count and then we will check the condition whether count is equal to 3 or not. In the end, we will just return false. Let's test this code out as well, and let's submit it. Awesome. Note that if I do postfix count operator, it will not work because this operator will first compare the values and then it will increase the count. So that's why in this case, we should use the prefix count operator, not the postfix one. In terms of time complexity, it is O of n, where n is the number of elements in the array, because we are looping through all the array elements, and in the worst case, it will be n elements, right? And in terms of space complexity, it will be O of 1 because we are just using a constant count variable to track the count. So I hope this video was useful to you. If it was, please like and subscribe. Have a nice time. Thank you.